Hello, friends, and welcome to Christian Connections live from Loma Linda Broadcasting Network. This time of the year, we certainly want to not start this program without wishing you first a Merry Christmas. I'm Ganim Hanna, along with my colleagues, Don Wright, who's our CFO and treasurer for LLBN, Sheila Hodgkins, who's a board member and a lady of many hats, which you've also seen her between programs reading scripture and providing inspirational thoughts. Bob Blancato is our community. We have so many titles for you, I get confused sometimes. It's our public affairs, and with that, so many other things goes with your role. Community relations, publications, and the list goes on.
It's what I do this hour.
That's right, that's right. Good attitude. Bob, thank you.
I'm flexible.
And Marlon, last but not least, a dear friend for so many years.
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Whatever you might be around the world, it will apply. We have morning viewers while we have evening viewers on the other side of the world. Welcome to all of you. Today we have a very, very special program that you don't want to miss. As a matter of fact, a week ago, Marlon and I, we were talking about the history of LLBN, and we thought how neat would be if you could see what we have seen over the last 20-some years. So Marlon grabbed a camera, and we went out in our lunch time, and we did it in 40 minutes, just live on camera, recorded the history of LLBN, where it got started from, what did the environment looks like, to where we're at today. And Marlon, on the weekends, worked really hard, I understand, the whole weekend, inserting all kind of videos and images from the past. So in short, we're giving you the history of LLBN during this program. So sit tight, let's watch the video, and when we come back, the team has a lot of things to say about the program. Marlon, as you see to my left, is the LLBN Studio 1. We have about 4 studios. Here's the empty property that we will want to build a building. There was a big, large tree here to my left that we just trimmed, removed, cleaned up the property. We have storage production trailers we need to move. We need to move this Studio 2 as well. Next to us here, a Romanian church. It's a Seventh-day Adventist Romanian church. Great neighbors. We enjoy having them next door to us. As a matter of fact, Marlon, you may recall the Romanians when we first inherited this building, when we purchased it. They came through amazingly by providing me so much labor and support throughout the 104 weekends. And I say weekends because, as you remember or know, then and now we have full-time jobs, so we didn't have time to work on the building during the week. But what we did is we worked on it every Sunday and a few evenings throughout the week. Every Sunday for 104 weekends, bless their hearts, always had 1 or 2 or 4 different members of the Romanian church came by to work on the project with us. As a matter of fact, they were a big source of labor for our ministry to get that building done. You may remember Pastor Nick Batoyo.
Yeah, I remember Nick.
Nick was instrumental in encouraging and inspiring his church members to help us work on that building.
Yeah, he was the pastor at that university church, or the Romanian church at that time.
Yes, he was. Nick Batoyo and many of his church members are extremely skilled in so many areas, from carpentry to electrical to almost any craftsmanship you need. It existed in that church, as if God has chosen that location for us long time before we even bought that building, saying, here's your neighbors, here's a church that I love and adore, and here's folks I love in that church who's going to be part of supporting the LLBN ministry. Pastor Nick Bitoyo himself was very hands-on. He wasn't just someone who's just preaching or inspiring people. He came in actually with tools in his hands, hammers, saws, drywall knives, you name it. That man, nothing was beneath him and nothing was above him. Of course, remember, he had a church to pastor. But when he had the time, he sure was there to help us. And man, did he help us. He really rolled his sleeves and got his hands dirty and was not afraid to get dirty and made a difference. I love those kind of ministers. I love that kind of spirit to serve, that you don't mind standing on the pulpit and preach, but you also don't mind to go out and get involved. He set up a great example, as you recall. He's no longer in town. I think he still lives in town, because some folks asked me about him. He still lives in town, but he had moved, I think, somewhere in Atlanta, working somewhere, and then he should be returning to Loma Linda, I think, next summer. But as you see, I want our viewers to understand, Marlon, as we drive from the LLBN studio, we're actually shooting this in real time. So this is about 1.5 miles distance between us and the campus of Loma Linda and University Church. It's quite a drive. And throughout this whole drive, LLBN has fibers in the ground, fiber optics. Most folks haven't seen what a fiber optic is. But we have fiber optics right under the public utilities connecting University Church and the campus to LLBN. Although we are 2 or 3 separate organizations and we are fully responsible for our own funding, we have no monies received from either entity, but we do share the mission of Jesus and we support the mission of Jesus. So as we're University Church, usually send the signal over our fiber. We have the fiber optic and all the equipment to transmit and receive from their church to our building where we just left. Actually, the signal comes to us in the speed of light because it is light. That's how signal transported through fiber optic, through light. So it's a light wave, and therefore it is there in the speed of light. And that signal, once it's received by LLBN, we turn around, ship it out by fiber to our transmitters in New Jersey, and then from New Jersey goes up on satellite, and then from satellite it comes down to the homes of viewers like you folks, and also it goes out by satellite to many other receiving TV stations, cable companies, and rebroadcast what would you call it? Broadcast websites.
Platforms, yeah.
Thanks. So here we're kind of reaching the other side of Loma Linda. You see to the right, Loma Linda Hospital building, a new hospital. Their addition has nothing to do with our building project either. Right next to them, University Church, which also their building, and their building has nothing to do with our building either. We're 3 separate entities. Also, we are common in one mission, and we all believe in serving the Lord and His people. All 3 entities are completely independent of each other. So, having said that, the days of Elder and Dr. Bill Lovelace, he supported our mission and our vision of LLBN, and he convinced the church to let us borrow a small Sabbath school because the church was running on space. So we used a 25 feet by 25 feet Sabbath school that we used for the beginning and the birth of LLBN. It was quite a gift from the church to let us use that room, because without it we had nowhere to start. As a matter of fact, we're pulling in their small parking lot here where they're having a construction, and we're just going to quickly and briefly show you where that room was. All right, Marlon, how about we step out? See. So we want to look at room 1.
Now those becomes offices.
Offices?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look. So Marlon is showing, we're going to go to the small classroom that we talked about where LLBN started. We used to refer to it 104 because that was room 104, and that's where Elder Lovelace and Pastor Scorts used to have this room for his adult Sabbath school. They shifted around some of their activities, and they let us use that room for LLBN. I think we used it for about 3 years, perhaps, and following that, of course, we had to look for bigger space. And that bigger space ended up being where we're going to take our viewers after this segment to show them. But let's go in room 104 to show the folks how small this beginning was. I believe this was it?
Yeah.
Is this 104?
Yeah, this is the one.
All right.
You'll be surprised.
Man, this is some history here. Wow. Remember that, Marlon? Sabbath after Sabbath. This room has got apparently been remodeled since, but it was this room, the room behind us. Let's go barge in on Sandy's office here for a second. Hello, Sandy. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Don't mind us here. Step in for a few moments. So it was this room plus the one we just walked through. It's a beautiful office space. First time I'm here.
It's good to see you.
But it is good to see you, and it's good to be in this room because this is our history.
So how many years ago was that?
21 years.
Are you serious?
3 years prior to that, it was planning time.
Uh-huh.
And we were scouting every location we can get our finger on because we had no money. Finally, Elder Lovelace and Reggie
that
Scorts
guy.
agreed to give us this Sabbath
No,
school.
really?
So we tore out
Those are
everything.
names from the past.
Great days.
Great
But
days.
look what the Lord has done from this room.
Wow.
Right? What
It's
a
just catapulted
what a great
you.
humble
He
beginning.
just catapulted you ahead, forward and ahead.
Whew, much bigger than what we expected. Thank you, my friends, for the support.
Congratulations.
Thank you. This is our 21st year
Wow.
in operation, plus the 3 years of pre-planning. That's 25 years.
Wow.
You know,
The Lord
praise
is
God,
good.
right?
The Lord is good. Thanks for coming.
And Marlon will send you the payment.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you again, everyone.
You bet. Take care.
Isn't that amazing, Marlon? This was our beginning. And we used to walk up and down this aisle all the time, praying and having conversations with each other and planning. It was tough times, but it was good times also. As a matter of fact, we had a small little closet at the other end we used to what we call head end. That's where we put our original play-out equipment that Gary Schiller has engineered and assembled in that room. And we used, most of you have had VHS machines, right? So we used almost home machines. They're VHS, or what we call them super VHS at that time. It's kind of a notch higher, better than what we used at home. So come on, follow me. Let's go take a look. This closet right here was a very tiny. As a matter of fact, Marlon, if you just join me, this is where we put that room, what we call head end room. That's where Gary Schiller went ahead and developed a system that would allow us to play the programs consecutively, like any TV station would. They had this little kitchen closet. It was like 10 feet by 12 feet. When we discovered this room, we just went nuts. We went back to Bill Lovelace and we said, can we please have this closet? So Bill Lovelace went back to the church board and asked them, and they blessed the usage of this closet. And what we did is we knocked out the door here. It was a 24-inch closet door. We knocked it out, and we borrowed $3,200, $3,500 to put a glass door, so this would look more professional for those who come in to tour LLBN. Although it was a closet, it was our joy and pride. We were so happy that we can literally rebroadcast from here. So what Gary did, Gary Schiller, went out and we purchased for him 12 VCRs. Most of you had VCRs at home before, but those were a notch higher. They called them Super VHS. And we did modifications on the weekend to each machine, and he wrote a software to talk to all these machines to create what we call a playout. So every half hour a new program will air, and so on consecutively till you run out of a complete 24-hour cycle, and then you reload the tape for the next day, and so on. So 12 feet by 10 feet closet was the center of our broadcasting. This room had wires running to that room 104 that we just took you in. So the signal will come from that studio to this room, and we broadcast from here over a cable that was underground to get us to the local cable company so we can air 3 hours on Sabbath. In addition, we could only afford satellite time for 3 hours a Sabbath as well, because airtime was like $2,400 at the time per hour. So you can imagine that was very costly for us to broadcast. But that's where the broadcast came. That's where LLBN started 21 years ago, is when we turned the light on and we were in business. Praise Him, Marlon. God has done amazing things in our lives, have done amazing things through the ministry of LLBN, and it's still growing and growing beyond any expectation we ever had. But let's go back to our building, what we call Main Street, where we started the original conversation from. Ready? Let's go.
Let's go.
Okay. We are now back at the Studio 1 location. This is the original building we built after leaving room 104. It took us 104 weekends to complete this building project. But here, what is going to be the prayer garden. We had a very basic prayer garden, and now we're kind of taking it to the next level. As you see the fountain behind me with the water flowing, we're going to post a nice sign to remind folks when they stop and pray here, the volunteers and the workers. As Jesus said, I'll give you a water that whoever drinks from it will never thirst again. It's a great reminder that what God gives us that will fulfill the Spirit. So this is the main entrance to Studio 1. Come on in. And right here, this is the lobby. This is the lobby for the studio. It's relatively small space, but we get by using it. There's an upstairs here. To my right, goes up to the tape library room, office, voiceover recording room, and a small conference space. Here to my left, where we run on the signage pictures of all our volunteers, it changes throughout the day. 2 small bathrooms and a makeup area. This is where Evie usually comes in and does the makeup. So coming from the lobby, we walk into the studio. And this is the main studio out of 4. And when I tell you we have shot hundreds and hundreds of programs here, you probably wouldn't believe me, but maybe even over 1,000 plus some programs just in the last few years. The set here behind me changes. It's all digital signage. That's what we call digital signage. All these monitors hooked up to their own electronic circuits, computers call them. We're able to change images, shows names, depending on what show we're shooting that particular day. Sometimes during the same day, we may have 2 or 3 different shows shooting 4 episodes for every show at this location. So using the digital backgrounds makes it a whole lot easier to basically reconfigure the look. You see here on the stage, we have 4 chairs. We've been doing a week of telethon to help raise funding for LLBN. This is part of our annual ritual. We do it every year to help LLBN stay on the air. And you folks out there, most beloved believers and faithful to the ministry of God, had helped us to be on the air for the last 21 years. And here we have this small video wall. We could have gone with something bigger, but we felt this is adequate size. It would help all new programs and presenters when they have a topic to discuss or a slide to point to. They can literally get on the screen, in front of the screen, and point out the specifics to help you follow their presentations with ease of watching and listening. Let's go to the back and show you the control room where a lot of the electronics controls all these devices, plus where the director sits and switches on a regular basis. And hello again. We're back where the control room and the audio. We come into the control room. Here's what the director, assistant director sits here, and they switch programming from this switcher right here, and they're able to see everything that they are directing at that day. So if I was the director, I will sit here. I have access to all the electronics to set up the recorders, to route the signal to the different monitors. We're still outside there, and we can sit here and basically switch program as needed to, as you notice in the monitor, it changes the inputs. You have a number of cameras hooked up into the switcher, so you can switch between the various cameras throughout the studio to create different modes and different styles of productions. As you see up in that monitor, as I'm switching, I can change the selections of the camera inputs to the switcher. Moving on, in the adjacent room, which is where the audio room, once again, it's very small, very compact. We have reached our maximum potential space-wise, folks. Here's a digital audio board. I don't know, it has so many inputs in there for the audio engineer to sit here, to switch, and there's monitors in front of him to see what's going on. And of course, he has a confidence monitor watching some of the satellite channels right to my left. And here, right next to it, you see the transmitter room for the satellite equipment is cramped inside the audio room along with other audio gear. And here, this little tiny closet, we need something 10 times this size, if not more, where it has all the cabling that's coming from fiber, from Verizon, from AT&T, from our other locations, all the way across on this wall. It's extremely compact, and there's no more room to install anything else, and it's becoming so critical and outdated. We need to rewire this whole place, but we can't do it in this small, tiny space because it's kind of useless to do it. So the new rewiring and the new refurbishing will occur in the new building. Okay? Yeah, and I hope you can hear me. I'm coming out from that little closet where we just showed you the cabling, and I'm back in the studio once more with a big TV wall and all the monitors. Once again, repurposed. We changed the images on them from show to show. That's, in essence, the Studio One. So here's another view of the vacant property behind us. We own this property. It's all paid off. And that's where we plan to build the new building. It'll give us a building about 8,000 to 10,000 square feet. It would really help liberate LLBN to go into a whole new phase of spreading the good news of Jesus. This place will have multiple stages or studios for larger productions. Right now, like I said before, we're scattered between multiple locations. We have 4 studios, and they're all in different locations. This would be the ultimate growth for LLBN. When we came to the building behind us, when we fixed that building, we grew from a few hours of program to dozens of programs per week. And then when we built this building, we anticipate hundreds of programs a month versus dozens of programs. So every growth will bring other domino effects to a good domino effect for the ministry of LLBN. So we'll tell you more about that in the future. As a matter of fact, for this property, we have some money raised, and we also just got a pledged money of $25,000 as long as matched, dollar for dollar. So if you see this program and you feel the Lord has touched your heart, help us to build this building. And of course, there will be a donor wall on the other side of the building where all the building donors' names will be listed according to the amount they give. Thank you. Pray for us, and we hope to make that become a reality here very soon. On that note, Marlon, why don't we take our viewers with us on a tour to the next location where we lease from a private owner 6,000 square feet for our operation. Are we ready?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so So Marlon, we are driving from Loma Linda to Redlands. The other building that we lease is just on the edge, on the exterior edge of Loma Linda and Redlands. Although it's very close by, it happened to be considered two separate cities. But between this location that we just spoke to our viewers, where we have a massive fiber optic infrastructure laid in the ground, we happen to have fibers going to that building as well. Otherwise, we could have not rented at that location. But unfortunately, two challenges with that rental. We've already outgrown that space, the separation between the two facilities. But also there's another factor, and that's the space over there is not really designed or suitable for broadcast agencies, designed just for retail services. So with that being said, we got to get out of that space as soon as we can, and the lease at that location expires in 2020. I think it's July 2020. So we have just enough time to make this happen. Otherwise, we'll be stuck for another long lease, and unfortunately, that would be just money that will never return. As if we use that lease money toward the cost of the building, we can build our reserves and our savings for God's kingdom rather than just paying it on a property lease. We have 6,000 square feet over there, and it takes this staff multiple trips a day to go back and forth between that location and the location we had just showed you. So I can't emphasize enough how difficult it's been to be separated geographically between two different buildings, which essentially you end up duplicating all your resources, the computer networks, the media networks, the fiber layouts, servers, and I can go through a whole list of stuff that has to be duplicated at each location, which also makes it very difficult from management point of view and maintenance. So we're gonna make a left turn right here and show you that building, what it looks like. But while we're driving, I can't tell you how blessed we are to know who's our Creator is, to know and acknowledge that we have a loving Father in heaven that we can depend on. He's our shield, He's our rock, He's the foundation of our life. Without Jesus, folks, we'll be lost. You know it, and I know it, and we all had our own personal experience. And it's so important, we have such a passion to share Jesus' good news with the world, to give them hope, to give them the light of Jesus, because this world is becoming darker and darker, and the power of the enemy working hard to destroy God's people. And we have opportunities to bring them the good news of Jesus' salvation. So you look to my right, I'm slowing down to make a right turn. There's the building we lease from. There's a couple of restaurants in that center, and we happen to rent the downstairs and the upstairs on the east side of the building. We're gonna give you a look from the outside, and let's call it a personal tour. Okay, let me park. Even parking here is extremely limited and challenging. As a matter of fact, many of us who volunteer here, our cars being hit and near destroyed in this location due to congested parking and people rushing. It's pretty much a public parking space. All right, let's get out of here. Go see what we have in that building, Marlon. All right, my faithful friend Marlon. Let's show the folks this building right up to my right. We're renting the entire east wing, upstairs and downstairs. All in all, I think 6,000 upstairs and 2,000 downstairs. So that's about 8,000 square feet, and that equal to about $10,000 a month. Our utilities between both buildings runs into thousands of dollars. So not to say that money will be saved, because you're always going to cool and heat the place, the facility. But again, it's all about centralizing our resources and making it practical to operate under one roof. So we have a studio here to my right. We call it Studio C. It's actually Studio 3. We have a kitchen studio for the help channel, and we have what we call weather screen, like the green screen they use for the weather background. We have that all in there. We'll show you that in a little bit. And the upstairs is where LLBN leases the offices and has other space. So ready to go there, Marlon?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Let's go. So this is where the front entrance to the building. There's several offices here. So walking in here to my right is, you can call this as kind of a multi-purpose room. It's our think tank place where we lay out a lot of the assignments and plan the weeks for the volunteers and the staff. We have this room, use it as a studio from time to time. When we have special productions, we just move the content and use it as a studio. As you notice, there's all kind of equipment laying down here and there. We use it, like I said, in combination as studio or conference room. There's a piano here sitting on my left with some gear on top of it, because when there is a production, we restore it as a studio. But moving out of here, there are a number of offices and facilities for our volunteers and workers. Over here where Thal usually sits, he's one of our part-time employees to do the channels scheduling and programming. That's how you get to see your programs playing 24/7 nonstop, due to his scheduling skills and time devoted to this project. Over here, this is where you get the Sabbath Life program. Usually we have volunteers sitting here throughout the week, the weekend rather. When there's a live production, they be doing all kind of switching back and forth between University Church service and LLBN programs, and that just happens basically in a very, very complex operation. We have one station per channel, like His Word, His Light, Smart Lifestyle TV, and the list goes on. Each one of those stations get utilized for live broadcast for its designated channel. All right, and there's Thal that we were telling you about earlier, who handles all our channels scheduling that help you to see it 24/7, which seems seamless and feels like it's just happening by itself. Well, it doesn't. There are professionals who sit here and spend the time and energy to carefully calculate every program length and every program scheduling according to the TV schedule of the channel that's published on the website. You can see the hallway boards where they put all their assignments for the daily staff. And to my right here, where Marlon is, his beautiful daughter, Jessica. Wave to our viewers. Jessica assists our accounting manager with the accounting duties, receiving your checks, depositing them into the system, into the database, and so on. And here to my right, well, now it would be to my left, it's other workstations for volunteers when we have special services where they come in and they just kind of work on each one of those stations. To my right, we have Leonard Cummings, a very talented young man who is a multitasker, and he does all kind of different functions for LLBN. He's involved in productions, downloading videos from the internet, collecting all the programs from the remote entities who airs their programs on LLBN. He goes through a process called encoding, where he processes the footage, the files, and turn them into something that we could use for broadcast. And to my right, another workstation and another edit suite. The person who uses this room is not here right now, but that's where they do a lot of editing as well. And if I go back the other direction, just follow me here. This is where they have all their printers and they print their documents. Moving forward to my left is Jay Hughes. I think you've all seen on the air. He's on the phone, so we're not going to disturb him too much.
Yeah, Fred. Fred, can I give you a call back in a little bit? Because
No, keep it up.
Oh.
Don't worry.
okay. Well, you know
Jay's
what?
just doing his daily phone calls to our donors and our business partners. And here, last but not least, is Bob Blancato, which also you recognize from television.
Hello there.
This is his office, and this is where he does his writing. So we kind of went through this whole process really fast, so we don't tie you up too long. But this is a building that we lease, and something that we do have to vacate by June or July of 2020. We had a 10-year lease, and it's hard to believe it's already, we're coming to the end of the 10 years here very soon. And we want to, once again, centralize everything and use the money toward a building that we own and continue to invest in our own operation rather than into lease space. I would say the landlord of this facility was just a wonderful man to work with, and he blessed us with a good lease. But again, our operation needs has changed, and the geographic separation has not been a good thing for this ministry. All right, let's go out and continue our conversation in another location. Let's go over this way. We call Studio 3. This is Studio 3, as I mentioned earlier before. This is a complete kitchen, cooking kitchen studio. I'll move some of the stuff out of here. So you can see there's a refrigerator, there's the sink, the cabinets, and also there is the cooking stove. Right now we have green fabrics on top of it because they were getting ready for another production, a cooking program for Smart Lifestyle TV. There's even an oven and a microwave, so you can see this is fully furnished to meet that need. And the studio, of course, used as a multi-purpose studio, different looks, different styles for different productions. We have what we call a green screen on the wall that comes down to do like the weather screen and put images behind the talent. We have a monitor here for PowerPoint presentation, but also sometimes just for simple background as we shoot productions, promos for the other foreign channels. So 4 studios. We own the main studio on the one we showed you earlier, Studio 1. We own the property next to it, all paid off, belong to us. We want to build a building there. We're praying about it, and we've been raising the money, and we need help still to raise money for that building. All donors who contributed to that building will have their names on the donor wall on that building. We want to get out of this leased space and the one we showed you earlier. All in all, I think we will have to give up about 7,800 to 8,000 square feet that we're renting currently here, and move our people and volunteers to be centralized all from one location. So 21 years of growth, the power of the Holy Spirit led us forward. We are reaching the world in 147 countries, and you are being part of that journey, folks. We thank you for all the support, but we ask you to continue supporting this ministry. If you're someone who have not contributed to this ministry, we do want to remind you, LLBN is a self-supporting ministry, and what that means, all our monies and donations to pay our expenses, utilities, legal fees, music copyrights, productions, satellite broadcast, internet streaming, and the list goes on and on. It all comes from viewers like you. We have no local entity, a church, an institution of any type that sponsors LLBN financially. So it's being by pretty much by your faith and your generous spirit to give to the ministry of Jesus, so we can share the gospel with the rest of the world. There is one more place we're going to show you, another electronic room. Before we leave, just come here, follow me. As I said earlier, it's very jammed and small, but it does the job. There's a control room for that studio. Also, this studio, on other studios and all buildings, and all buildings essentially all are connected by a massive fiber optic network that we laid fibers with the help of local government agencies to lay down fibers that we can use and lease to for connectivity between our facilities, and there's a whole lot more we can't show you. Technologies in New Jersey, technologies in Israel, or one of our vendors down there, fiber optic companies and so on, that we cannot access and show you. But I hope this has been a blessing, and I hope this had gave you a flavor where we're at, what we do, and why we need to build another building. Many building projects are building in Loma Linda. None of them have anything to do with us, or any money sent to any institution has anything to do with LLBN. LLBN is a self-supporting ministry. Every dollar comes from you, has to come to this ministry, to our address, or through our website to help the ministry of LLBN. May God bless you, and may God continue to help you bless others through your spirit of prayers and giving. And we hope one day we'll all meet in God's kingdom and exchange stories about how God used us to bring so many other souls to His kingdom. God bless. Well, Bob, what do you think?
Well, the thing that impresses me is part of my background. I came to Loma Linda from the corporate world back east, and I worked in big cities, Midtown Manhattan and Center City, Philadelphia. And we were in 30 and 40 and 50-story high-rise office buildings. Now, they had very big public affairs departments where I come from in these large corporations. And if I said their names, I know you would recognize them. These were top 10 Fortune companies. Sometimes our teams would be so large that they'd have half our team on the 11th floor and the other half on the 12th floor. You couldn't believe how much one floor in a high-rise building created such a barrier to getting work done efficiently. People would say, oh, I have to go see such and such, but I don't feel like climbing the stairs now. I'll wait till tomorrow. Or the elevator is too jammed. We'll do it at another time. Now, I take that situation and look at what we're facing today here at LLBN. We're just not separated by a floor. We have different functions, be it the fundraising, be it engineering, be it production, and they're spread out over a 2 or 3 mile area. And having seen the disjointedness of an operation when you have just one floor between you in a high-rise building, it really becomes disjointed, and it just doesn't facilitate good working communications to have everybody spread out in different places. So it would be an incredible blessing, incredible, if we could be located, all of us, in a single facility, studios, office operations, engineering, all together under one roof, and things would just flow so much better. I've seen it in my past, and now I'm really seeing it here. That's my first impression. But this is California. It is beautiful here compared to Philadelphia.
But still, that doesn't justify the separation of our facilities, which it is hard on the team. Yet, in spite of all challenges, everyone kept a good fight here to get things done, regardless of the separations. But when we have rainy days, hot summers, cold days, I mean, it's difficult to transport things back and forth, including people. Marlon, you've been with this operation for quite a few years. You've been part of the history. You're the one who grabbed your camera and said, let's go spend our lunch hour to tape this.
Well, you know, every time I take a drive with you, I lose sleep a lot of it.
Is it my drive-in or the subject?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, it was nice to take this little cruise down memory lane because I think the values have remained consistent since, you know, the beginning days. It was 20 years ago that you spent 104 weekends with, you know, all kinds of volunteers, from, you know, the wealthy to the poor like you and I. And so it's nice to have the commitment from people like Sheila, who have, how many years have you donated now to this ministry?
I think it's been about 10 years.
Yeah, that's half of the life of the ministry done right. You are concerned with financial matters, all day long, and yet when you could be home relaxing with your lovely wife, having dinner or whatever, no, you are taking care of the finances for the Loma Linda Broadcasting.
Don't give him any ideas. We need him.
So why do you do it, Don?
Well, it's a calling, I think. And when I first was approached to accept this position, I had a little trepidation, but as soon as I came in and I saw all the volunteers and the family atmosphere here, and really, what better way can you spend your time than spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ to the whole world? And I'm a bean counter. I look at finances and I compare income from this year and last year, and I look and I see, our income's down this year. I don't know about a new building, but then I look at this video and see the humble beginnings we came from. And even this building that we're in here, how much faith had to go in to even entertain to start this project. And logistically, as has been pointed out, the need to try to get another building. And so I'd go to Ganim and say, well, Ganim, I'm not sure, our income's down, should we do this? But then looking at the video, I think the answer is pretty clear.
Well, throughout the years, everything we needed from day one to present, we never had the money to go out and get it, but we went out and got it, and then money came through. Yeah. Now, are we putting God to the test? No. It's the Jordan River experience. We have to put our first foot in the water in order for God to split the Jordan River. And he has proven that time after time after time. The Lord didn't come to us in dreams or had pastors come rebuke us and say, stop it, you're trusting the Lord too many times. No, I think God encourages us to step out in faith and make difference in every ministry, in every situation, even in our family lives. Mm-hmm. God didn't give us a spirit of fear. Right. Give us a spirit of strength and assurance, and therefore, God has always provided as we step forward. Sheila, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thought was, watching that video, it really doesn't seem practical to have all these buildings. And no offense, but that was like a long drawn program. And we'd like to bring more of the good news and use every second we can to reach as many of our viewers and many potential viewers to hear the wonderful and beautiful good news of Jesus Christ. Because there's so many bad news out there. Right. And you could look on every other channel but except ours. Right. And you could build the Lord's kingdom within ourselves and have that wonderful hope that we have in Jesus.
Right. But you've seen the space challenges we currently have.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you acknowledge it as a challenge? When you get involved with us, you have to go to more than one place.
Yeah, and I also see the value of having one space and including more people to be involved in this space, so.
Well, and that's another good point. We don't have enough room to house more volunteers. And that's what keeps our operation going. This is our biggest asset, the volunteers, because they're providing the free labor to the ministry, from Dawn to you to Marlon and so many others. So space is essential to not only store equipment and centralize technologies, but also to house the volunteers to do the work, to produce more programs and to get involved in other activities.
Ganim, I have a question. You were talking about there's so many buildings and people are trying to build their buildings, the hospital, the church. Right. Why do you think it's practical for us to be building?
Well, so God, it's just like you and I and Bob and Marlon and Don, we all breathe and eat and sleep and wake up and go on next day. God didn't create one ministry to grow independently while all the other ministries waiting. imagine if I can grow, eat, and live, but everyone else has to be starving and put in a corner till I live my life, and then you be next, and then he be third. No, God didn't create us that way. God gave opportunities for all of us to grow simultaneously, and so are his ministries. There's so much work needs to be done. There's work needs to be done to heal the sick in hospitals. Churches needs to house congregations and provide outreach to their local communities. And network like us needs to share the good news of Jesus beyond the local community to communities throughout the world where there are no churches, or people cannot attend church, or people are hungry for the word of God, but they don't have the freedom, the religious freedom to go to a church of any kind. So as you can see, they all run in parallel. And I don't think God will build one thing at a time. God is infinite. And you see all throughout the world, people are being birthed, and they grow to be, some to be real fantastic people and others not so fantastic. And you see nonprofit organizations birth all the time. And some, they last and they succeed, and others, they collapse. And I think all those organizations that serves God and does the work for the name of the Lord, I think success comes their way.
Well, you know, the medical center services the needs of the people who need to be restored to health. The university church meets the needs of the community.
Right.
The Bible commissions us to preach the gospel to the ends of the earth. That's what LLBN is doing.
Well said. Marlon.
Well, I think, you know, the entities that we're talking about are great friends of this ministry. They support what we're doing. And they are worthy charities in themselves. You know, I like to think about it in this way. You know, the Lord owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. He has the resources and the wisdom to move hearts, just like your heart, to do what is right, especially at this time of the year. He's going to take care of all of these ministries. That's what we call faith. That's what we call hope in our Savior, Jesus Christ. That's why you serve him, because you want to be involved in the work. This is one of the ways you can be involved. The other entities are involved in other works, has been pointed out. So this is the time and the season to think about the little guy. And that's us, the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network. We need your help right now. You know, we have the way to go. We have the property. And, you know, Ganim is a tremendous deal maker. So he's got contractors and suppliers and all these people lined up. Now, it's your turn. It's your job to help support and grow this ministry. Pray about it. And the Lord moves your heart. We're right here to receive your blessing. In Jesus' name. Ganim?
Thank you, Marlon. Well, as a matter of fact, most of our volunteers here and workers are donors themselves for the ministry of LLBN. That's how much we believe in this ministry, and that's how much most of you believe in the ministry of LLBN, which is evident by your givings and by keeping us on the air for the last 21 years. That's a big miracle. So every year, Don said, you know, he worries when he looks at the books and money looks like it's not coming. But it seems like month of December always will rebalance the statement, Don.
It has historically, but we never want to take it for granted. And the thing about this building project, and I know I've had numerous conversations with you, and you say, you know, Don, it seems like every step of the way God is providing, whether it's an architect or at the right time or a landscaper, everything's coming in. And, you know, financially, I might say, well, you know, maybe we shouldn't do this, but I think many times we have to go out on faith that God leads us, that this is the right thing to do, and with donor support and help, this is the mission that God's calling us to do.
Amen, amen. You know, Elder Lovelace used to say whenever the board get together to cast a vote about a new venture, we look at the financial statement. We always show the financial statement first, and everyone hesitant to take a vote.
Right.
You know, what's Ganim doing? But Bill Lovelace would always look everyone straight in the eye and say, folks, you can't
vote according to the financial statement. You have to vote according to your faith. And he always helped us take votes on every venture we adopted, and every venture we have taken, neither we have lost money halfway and we stopped it, or we were never able to complete it, or it was a failure. Everything we started, carefully thought out, carefully prayed about, carefully launched, and succeeded very well and served us very well for many, many, many years. Bob, any last thoughts for 30 seconds?
Just quickly, it would be a great help to the music side of LLBN if we had multiple studios, especially equipped for music,
Right.
in one building,
Right.
as opposed to being disjointed in multiple locations. For example, we could do Vespers every Friday evening. Right now, we do them just once a month. The reason? We don't have enough adequate studio space, which is equipped for music. That's a separate setup entirely. So this new edifice, in addition to all the other advantages I mentioned, would help tremendously in spreading a music ministry as well as a spoken word ministry.
Well said, Bob, because I ran into Stan Appleton, Dr. Stan Appleton, who's the director of the Gathering Place, and most of our viewers love that show. And we had a conversation earlier this evening about the value of having this new building, because he was so excited and knows that if we have this building, means the re-recording of the Gathering Place will occur much faster and more frequent than we have done it before. So, point well made. So, viewers, you love this ministry, you love the Lord, and you showed your love to us over the years. But we invite more of you out there who have not participated yet. We have kept this operation very, very frugal. $150 an hour take our ministry worldwide. Guess what? We did it again. With a building project, $75 a square foot. We have a building complete. We've already done all the math, all the shopping around. $75 will have the building complete. You don't find these kind of numbers when you give to institutions. They ask in the millions and hundreds of millions. But we managed and willing to put our time and energy to achieve our goals. $150 an hour takes the message of Jesus worldwide, but also to do more effective programming, we need to expand our building, and that costs $75 a square foot. Help us build this building. Put your name, your family name on the building. Be a donor. Be a supporter of this ministry, and let's touch someone's heart around the world through LLBN and continued programs of sharing the good news of Jesus around the world. Thank you to all of you. It is such a joy to serve the Lord. We wish you Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year. Please keep us in your prayers. That's the most important thing. Pray for our projects. Pray for the givings we need. Pray for the ministry. Pray that the message of LLBN will change someone's heart and bring more people to God's kingdom. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. God bless you. And we hope to see you very soon here on LLBN with more programming and more music and more good news of Jesus Christ. We'll see you.